Hello, everybody, and welcome into another draft preview video here at the Hockey Bears YouTube channel. We are days away from the NHL Draft coming up in Los Angeles with first decentralized one, which we might only see this year, but we'll see how that goes. I've got Zander Manning here who covers the Boston Bruins. They've got the 7th overall pick, a top 10 pick for the first time in a long time. And we'll see who they pick here. There's lots of great players. Zander, how's it going?
I'm cautiously optimistic about this weekend. I mean, we were talking before the show off the air about Bruins management with decent picks. I think the problem is they could go in so many different directions with this one. Trades, picking somebody. Overall, as a person, I'm doing good. As a reporter for the Bruins, I don't know how I'm doing right now.
Yeah, it is going to be. I mean, of course, this wasn't anticipated at the beginning of this season. I mean, everyone didn't think the Bruins would be this bad to get a 7th overall pick, but that's how it happened. They didn't make the playoffs, and we're down there, and they're in a bit of a transition period as a franchise too. So, yeah, but this pick, it could maybe boost a bit. I don't know if they'll be a player that plays next season, probably not. But this is going to be a really good player. So with that, let's talk about some 7th overall targets that you have in mind. I know you just wrote an article, came out today. Check that out. But who are you kind of targeting for the Bruins at this really high pick?
Well, first of all, you talked about it being a very high pick for the Bruins. It should have been much higher than it was. I mean, I talked about it in my article. They had the 4th worst record in the entire league. The Islanders had a 3.5% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. The Bruins had roughly a 7% chance of getting it. What happens? They get the 7th overall pick, and half the teams ahead of them had better records. I mean, as a Bruins fan, I gotta feel screwed over here.
Yeah.
But on the bright side, the 7th overall pick, who I'm picking them to take at number 7 is Caleb Denoyers. I don't necessarily know for a fact that he's going to last that long. He could go one pick above, play with his brother in Philly. But he's definitely somebody that fits a need for the Bruins. They need goal scoring. I mean, he had 84 points in 56 games last season. 8 points in the last 10 games. He's a left-handed shot at center too, which is definitely something that they need. They haven't really had a reliable left-handed center. And yes, I'm including Trent Frederick in that conversation. I don't think he was a reliable center. Plus, he was also a plus 51 in 59 games. That's just absolutely crazy to me to even think about. You're averaging a +1 per game, or even an even per game almost. And then the best part to me about him, he just turned 18. Just turned 18 in April. So you've got youth on your side there. He's in the U.S. development program. Might last there another year before he commits to a college, or they could draft him and he could say, no, I'm going to go pro. And that's who I'm picking that they're going to take if he lasts that long, because they have to pounce if he's there. There's no question in my mind. If he's there at number 7, you can't question it. You got to take Caleb there.
Sure. And we mocked him at our Prospect Corner's first round mock draft. They did. We did pick him at 7th overall there too. So 2 mock drafts, or 1 mock, and then your target. So we'll see. Brady Martin went 4th overall, which kind of bumped Desnoyers down to the Bruins. So we'll see. He went to Utah, and we'll see how that goes.
But I mean, I think what the real thing is, I don't think they're going to trade the pick. We talked about trades before. The thing about the Bruins this year is the reason I don't think they're going to trade the pick is Marco Sturm's going to want to build the team himself. Yeah. He's not going to say, here, have the 7th overall pick, have another 2nd round pick, take a guy from Providence. Oh, and look at that. We just got Max Domi.
Yeah.
Obviously, Max Domi isn't the one they're going to get, but throwing it out there, like, they're not just going to go out there and say, yeah, we'll get some guy who's established. Like, Marco Sturm's going to want to have his core. He's
Yeah.
not going to want to have a core that he got from somewhere else that was fabricated, if you will. He's going to want to say, these are my guys. These are the ones that I brought in, and this is how I made the team.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think they'd be better off keeping the pick at 7th overall here. That's like I say, really high. And they're going to get a really good player here. If it's not Daniel A, it's going to be someone that's a lot really good. You know, Victor Eklund, Brady Martin, I know has been mocked to the Bruins as well. Seems to be a good fit for them. So yeah, even Higgins. I mean, you never know. Higgins could drop to around 7. That would be a guy that I think that's a dream scenario for them. But
I mean, Higgins, you just got to go right down the road and you can watch him play. That'd be great. But I don't see him coming out of the top 5, if I'm being honest with you.
No, I don't see it either. I think he's going to go top 5. Probably won't fall. If he does, I think the Flyers are taking him at 6. So if he does fall out, it's the Flyers grabbing him. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's jump to the 2nd round, which they have a couple picks here. So a couple players they could be getting. And there's a lot. I mean, maybe it falls off a little bit skill-wise after the 1st round, but there's still lots of great talent around here. So who do you have targeted in the 2nd round?
So for the 51st pick, I was torn here. I'll say who I wrote about first, and then I'll go with my second thought about it. What I wrote about today, I went with Carter Amico from the U.S. Development Program. He might be a bit of a reach for the Bruins, but the thing that makes him an appealing pick to me is the fact that he's a right-handed defenseman. And, of course, they traded Carlo last season, and you kind of need someone to fill that void because there's a bit of a drop-off between Charlie McAvoy and Mason Lohrei at the top line. And not to mention, Carter Amico is a mobile defenseman, too. And when McAvoy goes down, you don't have a mobile defenseman in Boston. You don't have that guy who can cover the entire ice, who can be that Cale Makar of your offense, who can take it from behind the net and shoot it from the other faceoff circles and score goals. Another thing that's great about him, too, is he's 6'6", so he fits the size of what Carlo was as well. He's not going to score a ton of goals for you, so obviously that's why he's not going to be going in the 1st round to me. But he complements the players on the ice. He brings a lot more to the ice than just a guy who shoots the puck and hopes they can score. Another thing that's great about him, too, that makes it a little bit more appealing in the 2nd round is he hasn't committed to a college yet, hasn't committed to coming back to the development program either. So that makes me think, okay, maybe he's weighing his options about going pro. And it also helps that he's from New England. He's a Maine guy. So why not play for the hometown team?
Yeah, I like that pick for sure. Who's the other guy that you have in mind there?
The other guy I had was Vaclav Nestrasil.
Yeah.
I know in the original mock that the Hockey Writers had typed up, I had him in the 1st round. But the more I think about him is I don't know if he's necessarily a 1st round talent. He's got the talent, but I don't think he fits with the pieces in that later 1st round. I think he's more of an early-ish 2nd round kind of guy where he'll make the plays that are necessary, but he needs that development in order to become that 1st round talent. And I think he's going to get that when he goes to UMass this year, going under Greg Carvel for a few years. And I think there's a chance that he goes in the 2nd round at 51. There might be a chance he goes later in the 3rd or 4th round. But if the Bruins want to take a gamble, take a look at a guy that was huge on a team that won the championship in the USHL this year, I think he's a good chance to take.
Yeah, he was Peter's pick as a guy that could potentially jump into that 1st round as well. So definitely a guy that, and of course, was mocked to 31st to the Flyers in our Prospect Corner mock draft. So, I mean, definitely a guy that be an interesting pick. I don't know about 1st round. He could sneak in there, but definitely early 2nd. And the Bruins have those picks down there. And yeah, he was really good in the USHL and really kind of jumped up a lot of people's draft boards after his playoff performance and, of course, the season. But yeah, that's a great pick for wherever a team gets him. But I think he's probably a second rounder for sure. All right. Let's talk trades. I mean, you said that they're probably not going to trade. Do you have any other targets? Yeah. I mean,
well, we have another Bruins pick in the second round.
Right. We got to talk about our 2 second-round picks.
10 picks later, going back to the Muskegon Lumberjacks, I think the Bruins are going to take a look at Jack Olenek. I mean, I'm not trying to be partial because he's committed to go where I went to school, but I think he's a hell of a scorer himself. He's also local. He's from Hopkinton, Mass. But what's great about him is he's a good two-way center. He's not just the guy who's going to win you the face-offs. He's not just the guy who's going to pass the puck and score some power play goals, but he's also a leader on the ice. He was in the USHL for 2 years plus 2 games, but his second season in the USHL, he was an alternate captain. That's saying a lot, especially at 19 years old, being named an alternate captain in the top junior league in the U.S. And if it's any indication, of course, he's going to UMass, like I said, he's going to become an even bigger leader. And so that's why I peg him in at 61, not 51, because usually you see the leadership type guys who have that raw talent, they go a little bit later because the leadership will come first and then the scoring will come second. I mean, plus 19 overall in the season, not anything to sneeze at, but I see him going at 61 of the Bruins.
Yeah, that's another guy that could potentially be, of course, second-round pick. And another guy had great season in the USHL. The USHL, I think, is increased in stature a bit as being a development league. Wasn't as high as always the Chicago Steel that everyone gets players from. But I think a lot of the other teams are starting to kind of catch up. And Muskegon had a really good season this year. So seems like some other teams are kind of sneaking into that conversation now. And that's great, I think, for development in general. I mean, the NCAA, of course, is going to be getting a lot more CHL type players now.
Of course.
But I think the USHL is still a pretty strong league to develop in for sure. All right, now let's talk trades. I know you said the first round pick's not on the board, probably won't be traded, but do you see a world that it is? I mean,
I would say that it's off the board, if I'm being honest. I see it that it's off the board if they don't get the right price or if their targets are off the board. If their targets are off the board and they've been taken already in the first 6 picks, then I won't necessarily say that I see Don Sweeney waving the white towel, but I see him saying, all right, pick up the phone, give me a call. What are you offering me for the 7th overall pick? If you're giving me a good deal, giving me a good draft pick, giving me a good player, he might say, all right, I'll trade back a little bit, maybe pull a little Bill Belichick on him. And say, all right, we'll go back to maybe in the 20s, maybe the late teens. But I don't see him saying, okay, you can have the 7th overall pick and we'll pick in the 30s.
Yeah.
Or the late 20s. That to me is a bit of an idiotic move, if I could say so.
Yeah.
If they're getting Jack Eichel for the 7th overall pick, I'm all for that. There's no way in heck that's going to happen. No. But I think it's got to be a dream scenario, and they've got to have the perfect player coming back, the perfect return, but they've got to have plan A, plan B, plan C. Like you can't just have A and B and say, okay, we're going to take this guy up, he's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to take this guy up, he's gone. You got to have a third option that says, okay, it fits the need, and he's still here. Congratulations, we got a player. Mm-hmm. But if he's not there, then I say, okay, let's explore outside. And if you can find a good trade partner that's not Montreal, then sure. I think there's a world that they explore that. And to that note, another point too, I would not be surprised if they traded at least one of their second round picks. They have 2 that are very close together, and we were talking before the show that they don't have a very good history with picks that are close together.
No.
And to me, it would not surprise me one bit if they took the lower of the two and said, okay, let's see if we can shop this around and get at least a decent return for this.
Yeah, I definitely see. I agree with you. I don't think the 7th overall pick is going anywhere unless like they get blown out of the water with a great player that a team wants to trade to them for it. But I think a 2nd rounder definitely can be on the table, maybe packaged with something, either to move somewhere else in the draft and get some extra picks, or to get a player. But we'll see. That's going to be interesting to see what the Bruins do. I think the 1st round is off the table, but yeah, definitely whenever you have more than one 2nd round pick, those are definitely on the table to trade. And we'll see how that all plays out on draft day for sure. All right. Well, thanks, Zander, for coming on, talking Boston Bruins for the draft. Lots of, interesting things that they could do, but they definitely will. If they do keep that 7th, they're going to have a great player to add to their prospect pool, which probably not the strong. Well, they're not. It's not a very strong prospect pool because they kept making the playoffs and they don't have high picks. But Matthew Zator ended up being a pretty good pick, and he's. I don't think anyone anticipated him being an NHL player this quickly, and he has turned into a pretty good guy for them. So we'll see how that all kind of plays out for the Bruins on draft day and what they do with that pick, but. Make sure checking out everything at thehockeyriders.com. We've got our draft guide live. It's been live for the last 2 months. Lots of prospect profiles, lots of fun features, rankings, all that fun stuff. So check out that guide in the links in the description below. We also got our Substack newsletters that has for every team and news and rumors, prospects, draft, PWHL, you name it, we've got it over the Substack. But until our next episode of our next draft video, we will see you next time.